What's the difference between full metal jacket and hollow point rounds? And why does it matter? Let's talk about that. Hey everybody, this is Mike with Personal Protection Academy. So you've purchased your gun, you've got the handgun of choice that you want. Now you're going to the range, but before you go to the range, you got to go to the gun shop and you got to get ammunition. And you say, hey, I want some ammunition to shoot. They're going to say, what do you want? Ammunition has a lot of variations, but with some exceptions, it can fall into two major categories: full metal jackets or practice rounds, or hollow points, which are defensive rounds. So those two types of rounds can go through your gun just fine, but they accomplish different things. So both those, both the hollow point round, which has the silverish casing, and the full metal jacket, which has the gold casing, they both have a primer, which is that dot there in the center. They both have the casing portion shown here, which holds the gunpowder and holds everything together. But where they differ is the front portion of it, the actual bullet. That's where they change. Now you can see here the hollow point, it has some striations or bevels on it, while the full metal jacket is pretty smooth. You can also see the hollow point here has an opening, and inside the opening, it's got a red tip. Well, this one is completely open. So the full metal jacket is the one that's completely open. It's generally a cheaper round. It's considered a practice ammo, and that's the one that we're going to use at the range more often than not. Now, police departments in the 80s used to use full metal jackets, but there was a study done by New York Police Department that showed that almost a majority of the times that an innocent bystander was hit by a police round, it was through overpenetration, which meant that the gun held by the police officer fired the round went through the bad guy, out the back of the bad guy, and hit an innocent person on the other side, almost 50% of the time. And that was the full metal jackets. That was this one that's smooth and rounded. It's generally lead inside, and it generally is coated or jacketed by some sort of other metal. That one travels at roughly the same speed, but it will over-penetrate more often than not. So generally, as a rule of thumb, I reserve those rounds not for defensive use, but for practicing. So the study that came out from the New York Police Department caused the police department to start using these hollow point rounds. And what these hollow point rounds do is they have that opening with the bevels on the side, and it hits fluid, think the body, hits fluid, and it expands out. Well, that does two things. It transfers more damage or kinetic energy into the subject, more damage. But more importantly, it slows down. It expands and slows down inside the body, which means there's a less of a chance for that round to go through the bad guy and into somebody else. So personally, I only use the hollow points for home defense. I only use hollow points for my concealed weapons permits and the guns that I carry to defend myself and my family. The reasoning is I want to decrease the probability that I'm going to hit other people. I want to hit the target I'm aiming at, and that's it. I think as a gun owner and as a CCW holder, that's the responsible thing to do. So personally, what do? I use the full metal jackets, the cheaper rounds, the practice rounds for training. I use the hollow points, which are the defensive rounds. I use those exclusively to protect my life and the life of my family. And I keep them in the guns that I use to defend us in our home and the guns that I use to defend myself on my body. So there it is. I hope that helped you out. I hope that made it a little bit more clear. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and we will see you next time on the range. Bye-bye.